So let's start with the significance of this recent cabinet shuffle and what it means for the Alberta government.
I think it's an effort by Premier Kenney to buy a little bit of time to send some messages to his own party and to his own caucus that he does recognize that mistakes have been made. It was a signal to the caucus that things might change. It was still a muted signal in the sense that the former health minister, Chandra, wasn't removed from caucus. He was just shuffled with the new health minister. I think it's an effort to try to placate some of the anger that's surrounding the premier on these issues.
All right, sir. Well, Mr. Kenney did not face a vote of confidence yesterday, but is likely to face a leadership review at the UCP annual general meeting set for the spring. So can you give us a deeper background into the overall political situation facing Premier Kenney right now?
Premier Kenney's in a deep, troublesome spot. He's well behind in the polls. He's well behind in the polls in Edmonton. He's well behind in the polls in Calgary. He's behind in the polls now in rural Alberta. So he's losing all three legs of the political stool in Alberta. And he's found a way to anger people on both sides of this issue. So the people who want more restrictions, he's made them angry. The people who want less restrictions, he's made them angry. So he's in a position right now where he doesn't have a constituency or he doesn't have a base that's supporting him. And it's made it very, very difficult for him. I'd have a tough time figuring out how he could survive that leadership review when it comes. And the question is, it's almost a given he's going to lose it.
It does sound like a tricky situation, sir. Now, considering that Alberta's UCP is relatively a new union of two different parties, would you say this recent turmoil is revealing old divides?
No, surprisingly, that actually isn't the case. The effort that happened yesterday was actually led by brand new MLAs who didn't have their basis in either of the parties. So in many ways, they were UCPers rather than PCers or Wild Rosers. This is one of the problems that Premier Kenney is having, is that he's starting to lose the support of caucus members that he brought into caucus that were brand new to provincial politics and arrived with him. So he's already got some trouble with some of the folks who were there from before, from either the PC side or the Wild Rose side. Now, with him losing the support of brand new people that came in with him, it's going to become a complicated situation.
All right, sir, just about a minute and a half left. But jumping back to this Leger poll, 77% of Albertans support a vaccine passport system, but the UCP caucus is clearly divided on this issue. How do you see all of this playing out for Albertans and the UCP government as a whole?
Well, the problem with this is that in some ways the government's trying to suck and blow on the issue at the same time. They're giving people the vaccine passports, but trying not to call them a vaccine passport. The communication has been incredibly muddled. And it actually defeats one of the purposes of doing these sorts of steps. When you take these sorts of actions, it sends a message to everybody that this is a serious problem, that you're dealing with it in a serious way. When you take these actions in a half-hearted way and you hide them under veiled terms and you frame them the wrong way, you lose the psychological, motivational advantage of actually doing the actions. So, Albertans, by and large, would be okay with some form of vaccine passport. I don't think either the pro-passport or the anti-passport people are happy with how Jason Kenney has communicated this.
All right, sir, just about 40 seconds left here, but is there any way that the Premier can balance both the interests of Alberta and his party?
Well, I think he's trying to do that. I think in many ways it isn't the what of what he does, but he needs to improve his how. He's got to improve his communication. And Jason Kenney's been famous for being a communicator over the years. It's failing him a little bit right now. He needs to find a way to do it differently.
All right, Mr. Marciano, thank you again for your insight on Forum Daily. We'll be right back with our international segment. The U.S. Central Bank will be overhauling its financial policies, and China's Ant Group will be handing over private credit information to China's central bank. That and more coming up next.